99 hours and 38 minutes of playing Metaphor ReFANTAZIO. What do I think of the game? What are my likes? What are my cons? Would I play the game again? What do I have to say about the game overall that may influence whether you play the game or not? And first off the bat, I have to say the character development in this game was some of the best character development I have ever seen in any game. I mean, it's up there with like 13 Sentinels. It's up there with like Personas. It's really up there in any, like, think of a game that has like really great character development, and that is this game 100%. The graphic and art style was, in my mind, really good. I can't believe how many colors that they managed to fit together in a game and it all looked cohesive somehow. I can't imagine how long it took to create the color palette for this game. I just can't imagine. And the amount of effort that went into the different, I guess, cities or backdrops or whatever, especially seeing how toward the end of the game, it seems like some of those cities you really don't spend a lot of time in. It's phenomenal the way they put this together, the way that just the atmosphere feel, the character development, and the graphic style all combine to really make a very good game. Now, I will say that I started this game off in 2024 on the PlayStation 4, and I bought a PlayStation 5 in December, and I do think it looked better on PlayStation 5. That could have just been me. Maybe it didn't. It just felt it looked like a little bit better on the PlayStation 5. But overall, if you're looking for a game with good character development that you can actually understand the characters, where they're coming from and what they've dealt with, if you're looking for a graphic style that is just, can't believe they fit that many colors and it still looks good, and if you're looking for like cities and backdrops and stuff like that that are very, I remember playing the game and thinking, like, I feel like I can reach out and touch it. It's not like in realistic form, but just in a, you can imagine what this would look like if there was like action figures and stuff like that, or if you like created a model of the whole thing in the real world. Like, it had that kind of feel to it. The one thing I will say though is there's, for whatever reason, it seems like with Atlas games, there's like 2 or 3 different ways of making the cutscenes, and the one cutscene where it's hand-drawn looking, I kind of wish the game 100% looked like that. I think that would have been like top level if they could have managed to pull that off, but I don't know if a system can actually handle that. Maybe that's why they didn't do that. Maybe it's not doable. I don't know, but the way the cutscenes looked was just like, wow. Like, I'm talking like the hand-drawn looking cutscenes was phenomenal. The music of this game, I don't remember enjoying music more, especially like when you play like Persona 5. I remember I really got tired listening to that music, but with the music in Metaphor, I never really got tired of any of it. And if I can remember correctly, I think every dungeon kind of had its own soundtrack, which I found absolutely phenomenal. Another thing that I will say is this doesn't usually happen, and I don't want to give too much away about the actual story itself, just because I think it might ruin it, but there are, at a certain point way late in the game, these 3 different dragons in 3 different towers. I hope I'm not giving too much away, that you have the option to fight. I would tell you to do it. I think it's worth fighting them. They are kind of a pain in the ass. They are very difficult, but I think it's very well worth it. But if you do beat them, and this might be a spoiler, so spoiler possibly alert, if you do beat them, and I'll give you like 3 seconds here, they mention it in the end of the game, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, you don't usually see that sort of thing. So they do acknowledge you in the end of the game actually having beat these crazy difficult dragons. One thing that I myself and others talked about, and I saw in the forums and stuff like that, the game can be kind of boring in the beginning up until like July. And after July, it really takes off in the game. Like, you know, it's a calendar months in the game. Up until July, it's somewhat of a drag. There's maybe too much space in between. Now, I will say that there's different activities that you can do, and I would say utilize them to the best. You can also get different bounties and stuff like that for the recruitment center. I would say that that's a very good idea. You want to be as high level as you can by the end of the game, and that is going to segue me into the cons. And as I said, the game kind of drags up until July. After July, there is some spots too that I felt like maybe could have been a little less dragged out. It felt a little bloated at times. But the number one complaint that I have about this game is the social justice warrior nonsense. And the game is kind of built around it. Not kind of, it's really built around this whole idea of social justice warrior nonsense. This definitely is a byproduct of probably being produced in the 2020s, maybe 2019. It's just, I felt like I was living the 2020s all over again. The whole poor me about everything. I really couldn't stand that at all. And I really wish the game, the character development is so good, but the whole victimhood mentality nonsense, it definitely ruined the game for me. And it's actually another one of the reasons why I struggled coming back to this game, because I get so tired of hearing about it. That, like, we can't build a game. They did build a game around this, but like, I'm hoping that that never happens again, because it did really downgrade a very good game otherwise. The dungeons, while well put together, I thought were a little too long. I thought they were a little too long. Luckily, actually, you know what? Sometimes not terribly random encounters. There is no random encounters, but a lot of the time you couldn't really avoid getting attacked, and you'd have to go into the battles. Sometimes that got a little bit too much as well. Another thing that I found that I was having happen was I was running out of MP a lot. Magic power, I don't know, I think that's what it's called in this game, and that made it really awful. The other thing that there was not a whole lot of is places that you can get in and out of the dungeon, where you could, there was places that you could save once in a while, but most of the time you kind of had a one and done most of the dungeons, other than the really big ones. That I thought was done very poorly. You could escape the dungeons that you were in, but then you had to go through the whole thing all over again. I thought that was, in my mind, not great. Now, if you're looking to completely grind and be at, like a level 80 or something like that by the final boss, then I could see why you would want to do that. But that's just not my thing. I think I was a level 65 or 66 when I beat it, and that was fine for me. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and this is kind of an odd one, I don't usually do this, but the background music, while I liked it, sometimes was so loud that you couldn't actually hear the characters talking. So I did have to go into the settings and turn the background music down. I know that's a real nitpicky thing, but I can't believe when they were reviewing this game, or like going through the game and seeing everything, how everything was put together, that they didn't notice that you couldn't even really hear the people talking over the background music. So I thought that was kind of ridiculous. So I just turned the background music down in the beginning of the game, and it kind of just left it there. Last con. I understand that Japanese games do like to have a hard boss, but the final boss in this game was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I can see why somebody would rage quit this game, because that final boss was just, I don't know if somebody was having a bad day. When they made this, I don't know if somebody hated everybody and really didn't want anybody to play the game. I have no idea, but that final boss was more Japanese than most Japanese bosses are. It was the most Japanese final boss that I have seen since the original Persona 3 final boss. That thing took me like an hour to beat. That's all I'm going to say. Be as leveled as you can be. I actually did end up just putting it on Storyteller for the final boss, full disclosure, because I'm not gonna, there's like multiple phases, and I got to the last phase and all my characters were just out of everything. And I'm like, I've got nothing left here. So it's either me going back and grinding, getting myself up 20 levels, or just putting on storyteller and actually just being done with this game. And the final two things, I'm going to segue in from that boss fight. The difficulty does spike quite a bit in the end. So the higher, obviously, the level that you can get, the better. If you do like grinding in dungeons, I would 100% do it. There's a couple dungeons in the end that you can really go in and grind and get a lot of levels really fast. Probably should have done that myself, but at the 99-hour mark, you know, I obviously wasn't there at that point, but I think it was at like hour 93 or 4 or something like that. I was done with this game, and I just wanted to be done. And I still had another 5 hours to go. So I'm glad I did what I did. But if I played this game over again, I would definitely grind a little more. And the final thing I'm going to say on the segue of, had I known coming into the game, the archetype of this game, 100% the archetype of your character that you have, and you'll know, max that thing out as fast as you can before you get into the final stages of the game. I wish I'd have known that. This is not like Final Fantasy, like the Final Fantasies of old where you had the different jobs and it really didn't matter too much what job each person had. In this, it 100% does. So if you know your main character, he'll have a certain archetype, max that whole thing out. And the next character that comes into it, they'll have their own archetype, max it out. I think you get what I'm saying. And that way, like, you can explore a little bit more after that, but 100% do everything necessary to max out your character's archetype. And then, you know, maybe look into a strategy guide or something like that to see which ones you're going to need for the final, because there is a final archetype for everybody. And you might want to know what that is going into it. That way you can have everything necessary to get that final archetype. Now, I will say that there's some of the characters that their final archetype wasn't as good as the archetype of their original archetypes. That is, would I play this again? 100%. Especially knowing what I do now. I kind of wish I would have known what I did now going into the game for the first time. And I think that's why the new Game Plus stuff is kind of nice, because then you can kind of do what you didn't do originally. And I think that'll be nice. I might even play it again. That is my review of Metaphor and ReFANTAZIO. If I had to give it like a number, it'd probably be like an 8.5 out of 10. That social justice stuff, really, this game would be close to a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for that idiocy. I can't put up with that stuff anymore. I'm so sick of it being in games. Just so sick of it, period. That's my review. Anyway, talk to you in the next one. And let me know down in the comments section, what did you think of the final boss if you've played this game and you're just kind of watching a review? Or if you do watch this review and then you go play the game, let me know what you thought of the final boss. That thing was on a different level. I'll have to tell you that one. Anyway, peace.